to another edition of the Orange Bloods Texas Football Channel. I'm Geoff Ketchum. That is Anwar Richardson in his Lewis Hamilton gear.
Yeah.
As we
celebrating 100 wins, actually. We're celebrating the 100th victory from Lewis Hamilton.
Oh, damn. You're like a fan.
Yeah, I'm into it.
That's good stuff. Well, I'm digging the outfit. If you like the outfit or you just want to do us a solid, like this video, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell so you get all the notifications when videos come out like this one. Anwar, we're talking Arch Manning. He's coming to town this weekend, and it's such a big deal. We're doing a video on Tuesday about it because nobody moves the needle quite like Arch Manning. And it's clear that from a recruiting standpoint, with all due respect to Malik Murphy and anybody else in this class, maybe even like a Quinn Ewers, right? Like Arch Manning has taken a spot up in the hierarchy of recruiting conversations that's just different than everybody else. As the number one quarterback in the 2023 class, he comes to town, and it's obviously not an insignificant thing.
Well, yeah, and Catch, it's not insignificant when we start thinking that, you know, this is the second time he would have visited Austin within the last, how many months has it been? Because he took an unofficial a few months ago. He's coming back to campus for a game, right? So that becomes kind of a huge deal. It's clear, Catch, it just seems, as we look at this, it seems like Arch is wanting Texas to give him reasons to come here. Clearly he's got a good relationship with Steve Sarkisian. Clearly they like the offense, clearly likes his history with quarterbacks and what he's been able to do, to the point that he has Texas as one of his top choices. And so now I think it's just about Texas giving him every reason to say, you know what, here's a reason to come to UT. The cool thing I think about the Manning family, Catch, is that they haven't had a problem being trailblazers. They don't seem to be followers, Catch, of anything and say, okay, we've got to go to the big name program and add our name to this. We'll go to Ole Miss. We'll go to Tennessee. We'll spend our career in New Orleans. Like, it's okay. Like, it seems like be hey, they'll do whatever it takes. So that's a good thing, I think, when it comes to recruitment. But Catch, I was thinking about this, and I want to see if you give me the answer. Is Arch kind of the biggest recruiting name that Texas has kind of been in the mix for since Kyler Murray? When I'm trying to think of that whole, we can get into that whole story of how Kyler surprisingly showed up one day, but is he the biggest recruit since Kyler?
Probably.
Okay.
Probably, really and truly only quarterbacks can move the needle this much. And usually it's only the son of former NFL quarterbacks and or just legends in general, right? I mean, Kyler Murray was the son of a legendary A&M quarterback and was that dude. So, it takes a really unique situation that a guy like Xavier Worthy, which is a poor example because Texas was never really involved in his recruitment, but take anybody from this most recent class that was highly recruited, it's just different. I mean, you made the joke. I can't remember which video it was. It may have been the Modcast on Thursday when you said, make sure that all the recruits have golf carts.
Golf carts, yeah.
Because he's the type of recruit that when he and his family come to town, you think of things like, hey, let's not make them walk. And it's it's different than anybody else, to the extent that even other 5-stars don't quite get that treatment and can notice when it's like, oh, my family has never got a golf cart, and and then there's a reaction. So,
and that was some of the things that we heard, Catch, from the last time that he was here. Like one of the, just somewhat complaints from other families is that they felt like the Mannings were getting like all the, the carpet rolled out for them. And they're sitting there like, well, anybody going to talk to us? Where's our golf court? Like, what is going on? So that's why the joke was, hey, make sure you got golf courts for everybody. Someone needs to go make sure that's taken care of. That's Brandon Harris. So that's his job.
Yeah, no, it's an interesting deal because you can always make the case when someone of this magnitude comes to town, there are two approaches that you can take. One, which is almost make him the only guest so that you can legitimately go over the top and you're not insulting anybody that's around who's not quite getting the over the top reception, or you bring in as many superstars as possible to surround them by, to try to paint the picture of this is what it can be like if only you come here. Texas is going to choose the latter. They're going to have a big recruiting weekend on Saturday. Kids want, it's the bad thing about 11 a.m. kickoff is that you could make the case that kids like Reuben Owens and Jonte Cook might say they're coming in, or they might want to, but when they will either the fact that it's an 11 a.m. kickoff will just cancel that visit, or more times than not, guys will wake up at 6 a.m. or 5 a.m. when there's like that. Hey, if we're going to make this trip, you have to wake up now.
Yeah.
And you have to do it on the heels of playing on a Friday night before that. And a lot of 11 a.m. plans get canceled when travel's involved because of the timing of it all. But they're going to try to have a lot of big time recruits come in. And it is a weird little nuance that they'll have to pay attention to. Make sure you don't pay so much attention to Arch Manning that it pales and it makes everything else pale by comparison, because I think they did that the first time. But look, it worked. I mean, they're in a great spot with Manning. And I don't know ultimately if they've done enough yet on the field to do the thing that I think they have to do, which is, look, if Arch Manning is going to commit to Texas, it can't feel like a risk. It can't feel like, if you've got options between 2 10s, 3 10s, and an Alabama, Clemson, Georgia, it can't feel like you're taking a risk by choosing Texas, because either they're not on the level or you haven't seen enough yet to make you think they're definitely on the level. Like, I think that's the last thing that Texas has to do, is convince them that you're not choosing the B team to make the decision. And I think that, I think that that's part of what the rest of this season represents. Saturday was a missed opportunity, but they played toe to toe with a top 5 team. They just have to close that deal. And I think, I think they're really close. I don't think that this is an outside chance, but they've got work to do.
Yeah, and here's the thing, Ketch. Like, listen, I don't profess to be a recruiting, insider, but I can say through my days of covering the NFL, I do have some connections, to the Manning family, and so I've been able to definitely be able to keep up with things. And so, kind of doing a check-in after the game on Saturday. I think I did some check-ins with some sources on Sunday, actually. And what was relayed back to me is the Manning family viewed that loss as heartbreaking, right? And so how it's kind of relates and comes across as they were emotionally invested in that game. So they didn't sit there and watch it with their arms folded saying, come and entertain me and make, and someone feed me grapes as I watch this game. They were into it. And that shows me, Ketch, that they're really considering Texas. Like, this is something that they have a good relationship with Sarkisian and a good relationship with the staff, where when the pain that Texas fans felt was kind of the same pain that the Manning family felt. And to your point, Ketch, now they still gotta, they're not a legacy, right? There's nothing that says they're going to go here. They're
just an SEC legacy.
Correct.
And once Texas got into the SEC, to me, that cemented them as a legitimate competitor. I've never believed that Arch Manning would become the first Manning to not play at an SEC school.
Correct.
But Texas solved that riddle. They really did. Even if they don't go until 2023, that would be Arch's first season. So, they're good on that front. I think that the thing is, it's as simple as this. On the night before Arch Manning makes a decision or signs his letter of intent, is he going to believe in Texas that he's going to play for, definitely not can he play for championships? Or might he play for championships? Will he? And his other options, the answer is absolutely yes.
Yeah.
Texas hasn't proven that yet. And it's why the Oklahoma game does not hurt at all Texas with Arch Manning. Offense scores 48 points. He knows they should have won that game. So that's a positive. The downside is he knows they should have won that game. And that is part of the current Texas legacy as a program, is that they're the program that always leaves a lot of meat on the bone. And, you know, like, I don't think Texas gets Arch Manning unless they're playing for the Big 12 championship in Dallas later this year. I don't think they need to win that game, but I think at the end of this season, they need to be relevant in that way. I don't think if this is a 9-3 team that ends up 8-4 team that gets boxed out of playing for a Big 12 title, I think they'll finish as a bridesmaid to Arch Manning, which makes Saturday critical. Like, I normally don't pay a lot of attention to what did the game look like in front of a recruit's eyes. A lot of times it's more about atmosphere. They don't pay attention. Most recruits aren't even watching the game in the stands for a variety of reasons. But I really believe that Texas has a chance to come out on Saturday and have maybe their best game of the season, their signature game of the season at home against an Oklahoma State team that, as far as ranked teams go, I think they're built like a team, if you're Texas, you'd like to get a hold of. I mean, they got a pop gun offense. And so if it turns into a track meet at all, Texas will win this game and probably win going away. You know, I think that having your best moment of the season in front of Arch Manning would be a good thing. You'd rather that have been against Oklahoma, but now you've got a home game against a almost top 10 team in the country. I think it's a chance for Texas to make an even bigger impression on Manning. You'd hate to think Texas in this instance would leave some meat on the bone. This weekend's got to end, and they've got to have hit all the right touches because I think they're so close.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I want to make a non-political statement, so hopefully it doesn't go off the rails. If you're a Texas fan, you better hope the Mannings didn't book on Southwest. All right. I'm just going to, because that's a direct flight, right? That's a direct flight from here to New Orleans. I don't know if American is a direct flight or not, but I know that's a direct. So I don't know how many directs are here to New Orleans. So you better have your
that thought crossed your mind.
Yeah. You said what?
I love that crossed your mind because I had not thought of that yet.
Yes. I mean, I don't know where. And so if not, that's scary right there. Right. You want to make sure that if I
gets here.
Yes. So if I am part of UT, I work it on backup plans just in case they have some Southwest tickets. And then to your point though, Ketch, it does become a huge thing. I think the good part is the offense is playing well. Okay, so the least if they can maintain that level of productivity for a trained eye, right? I mean, we're talking about whether it's Cooper's trained eye, his dad's trained eye, his uncle's trained eye, to be able to pass that test, that's going to be major for them. And then, like you said, to be able to bring them here in the atmosphere. I mean, what you want is it to be seamless, right? You want the family to have a 1-hour flight to New Orleans, get off, get downtown in a few minutes, and everyone's like, man, this is a really easy commute for us to be able to watch our son play. This is pretty good. Have that atmosphere, they've been around Austin before, but have that again, right? And then be able to have a good performance and be able to, one thing Sarkisian said, he said he actually liked the 11 a.m. kickoffs from a recruiting standpoint, because then he felt like he was able to spend more time in the late afternoon and an evening with recruits, as opposed to the nighttime games where, during the day, he's just trying to get the team ready. It's hard to kind of balance those kind of things. He felt like this gave him more of an opportunity to spend more time. So within that, this ends up being an ideal situation for a Sarkisian and his staff to be able to get that guy in on a Friday night, have him there on Saturday. Catch, do we send someone to the airport? I mean, do we send Cole to the airport and stalk and get the picture of Manning?
That's a great question. Yes.
Okay, Cole, you know what you're doing on Friday.
Cole, just so you know, you're now on airplane duty.
Some air tracker.
You know why? Because that'll make like the New York Post.
Yeah.
Cole went to New Orleans and did an article on him a couple of weeks ago, and then that's getting, spread out and dispersed amongst. I mean, he went viral to a certain extent off of getting a quote from Arch where he's like, I like Texas, like home, it's like family, or whatever that quote was.
Yeah.
And look, when the New York Post is aggregating your content because it's a needle mover, it's different. And when we talk about what makes Arch Manning's different than Kyler Murray, he's way bigger than that. No offense to Kyler. Manning's are just on a different level. And this is, I was around for the other Manning recruitments. I remember Eli Manning coming onto the campus and like walking out onto the field with Archie on his official visit over 20 years ago. And the entire stadium had eyeballs on him. And that's what will happen on Saturday. Everywhere Arch goes, eyeballs will follow him. Those dudes are different, man. You know what I mean? Like what they already deal with and what they already have to know about themselves is just different than any of us will ever have to deal with. I mean, you walk into a room and the whispers begin. And I think Arch already feels like a kid that's comfortable in his shoes, which I think is maybe my favorite component of this kid, is that he's just now into his junior season and he's got this level of attention and he seems very comfortable with who he is. And, I don't know that we should take that for granted, that he seems well-adjusted, because this is not well-adjusted. This does not help young men get well-adjusted. This complicates it. And he just seems very comfortable with it. And, kudos to his parents, I suppose, for being able to prepare him for, hey, because I know his dad knew, hey, when you're 15, you're going to be famous. You can't control it. If you're going to play football, you're going to be famous. And, the fact that you just asked me, will we send someone to take a picture of him getting off the plane? We've never done that before with a recruit that I can think of off the top of my head. That stuff you do when coaches are showing up, you hide in the dumpsters and you take photos when a major coaching thing's about to happen. It's pretty amazing stuff.
Here's the crazy thing. You can't think of a reason why we shouldn't do it.
No, I know.
That shows how big he is.
Well, because if we don't, somebody else will, and then those photos will go viral, and you telling people like, well, we wanted to respect him. Nobody cares about that. Don't tell us about the birth pains, just show us the baby.
Yeah.
And I think that when you talk about Arch Manning, he'll get that. It's funny though, because when he went to Clemson back in the summer after the Texas will make this bigger than the other schools. And I wonder, remember, we talked about this in the summer. He went to Clemson in Alabama and there wasn't a big to-do about it. Like very low key at Clemson. I think it was Clemson the very next week. Maybe it was Alabama. And when it comes here, it's going to feel more circus atmosphere-y than it will even on his other visits, which will still be circus atmospheres. This will be the highest level of circus atmosphere. And I wonder how that plays.
Yeah. So, it's going to be, to a certain degree, when he walks in the stadium, people are going to notice. I mean, they can't put him on the Jumbotron.
You'll be taking pictures.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Like
you'll be like, see that little ant-looking thing? And you'll get like 500 retweets.
Absolutely. I mean, look, there was a 2-page thread just on myself of someone taking a picture of me at the fair. So I can't imagine how many pages it's going to be for Arch, Yeah. So it's going to be, it definitely is going to be, he will, the opportunity to come to Texas, and be the franchise, right? If you go to some of these other programs, you will be the next quarterback at Alabama, or you might be the next quarterback at Clemson. You come to Texas, you are the person, right? You are the everything, the alpha omega, the beginning and the end. And so there will be sightings, Catch. There will be, he was at VY's or he was at such and such place and saw them down the street and people snapping random photos. And
if it were me, man, I wouldn't want my kid in that. Like, I think I'd rather have my 5-star quarterback in a place where there's not quite that much pressure. I mean, it's weird. Texas has to juggle this fine balance of, in recruiting, it's all about telling a guy how bad you need him. You don't want to go so far where you've made the girl question, God, what the hell happens if they don't get me? You know what I mean? So I don't know. It's a weird one. Look, any final comments? I had one question I wanted to ask you.
Okay, one final comment. And on this thing, because I know someone who's not familiar with everything, I just want to backtrack on something. Someone's not familiar and hasn't followed us for years, they're going to say, what the hell you guys talking about Texas recruiting Kyler Murray? He was always an A&M commit, right? So just to clarify, like, you guys are stupid, you don't know what you're talking about. Kyler Murray and Charlie Strong and that staff had conversations secretly behind the scenes for months and months and months. It wasn't a public thing because the Murray family didn't want it to get out there. And then when he decided to make a visit, Catch, you remember this? One of the edicts was,
oh, don't you say a word.
Damn word. The Murray family made it clear, if this thing leaks out from any one of your Texas media outlets, we're pulling the plug and we ain't coming. So
this recruitment is over.
It is officially over. So that was,
I made a post once 5 weeks before he showed up on campus.
Mm-hmm.
And the support system behind Texas freaked out.
Yes. And so while we don't work for them, we don't cave to them, we also don't want to be a hindrance to their recruitment like that. That's not good for business either. So just as for everyone that's just going to say, what the hell you guys talking about Colin Murphy? No.
Because I made some weird coded post about there would be like other recruits that Malik Jefferson had given a hint.
Yeah.
And I made a veiled comment about that. And then they were like, oh my God, Kyler's going to stop. The whole recruitment's going to end because
Correct.
I made some comment that, no one could have controlled. It was pretty benign, all things considered, but that's how on edge they were about thinking they had a chance, but the hoops they would have to hop through to have the chance.
And you know what? There wasn't, for a brief window, there was a chance. There was a chance there. And then at the end of the day, someone sits down with them, the legacy thing kicks in, and then he goes over to A&M. But so I just wanted to clarify that for those who, when I bring up that recruitment, the difference is Arch is not that, there's no, edicts here. There's no, you can't do this or this and that. And so there's probably more of a buildup and more hype about it. So, but I just wanted to clarify that.
Last thing, true or false, Texas. We both, I think, agree. The Mannings love Sarkisian.
Yes,
it's
correct.
Whatever the hell happens in this recruitment, they believe in Steve Sarkisian as an offensive mind.
Yes.
True or false, Texas has to play in the Big 12 championship at a minimum this season to get a commitment from him next summer, because they won't play any more games. Like, this is the final season of football that Texas gets to leave an impression with.
I'll go true. And the reason I'll go true is because I don't know if he's that emotionally invested in Texas where he's willing to ignore that, okay, well, this is an 8-4 team that needs to build over the next few years. And so I'm willing to grow and build with them. At that point, it's like, I'm not quite sure he loves Sarkisian that much.
Yeah.
He may love him, but love him to the point of, all right, you're 9-3, but you're in the Big 12 championship. And there's some, you went to a major bowl game. Okay. But not, hey, 8-4, went to the Texas Bowl and here I am, like, this is where I'm going to go. Like, that one, I'm not quite sure the love is there like that.
I agree. Like and comment in this section. What do you guys think? What does Texas have to accomplish this weekend, this season in general, to close the deal with Arch Manning? I'll be looking through the comments section to see what you guys think. Like the video, subscribe to the channel on our quest to 8,000 subscribers and then to 10,000 subscribers and then beyond. We would love the fact that you guys are on board with us in the beginning stages of what we're doing with the Orange Bloods Texas Football channel. But for myself and Anwar Richardson, we will see you later in the week. You guys be good to each other. Later.